All right, Bo, you texted the group chat last night.
Yeah.
Letting us know that the Guardians signed a reliever who you were very excited about.
Yeah, so I think we've all been frustrated by the Guardians doing nothing to improve their offense. Very fair complaint, which I'll continue to make every day. I will say, though, that this latest move, signing Shawn Armstrong, is another good, move in the bullpen. The Guardians' bullpen right now is very deep. Like, you have 2 or 3 guys that are legit major league relief pitchers that there's no room for them. Yeah. Like, Tim Herron might not make the roster. And he's, I know he struggled last year, but he's been mostly
2 years ago,
good.
he was a monster for them.
Yeah. I don't know if he's going to make the roster right now. They've added 4 veteran relief pitchers. Well, 3 veterans. Shawn Armstrong's the latest. By the way, for those who may not remember, Shawn Armstrong originally drafted by the Indians.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
I think it was 2014, maybe.
It's been a while.
Yeah, and he came up in the big leagues with the Indians. He was parts of like 2-3 seasons, and then he was gone. And he's been well traveled, and he's had his ups and downs. He's had some bad seasons along the way, but for the most part, for the last 4 years, he's been 3 of the last 4 seasons, he's been real good. And last year, he was sensational. You see it there. He was the Rangers' closer at the end of the year. Got 9 saves right at the end of the season. He averaged a strikeout per inning, which I love. Look at that whip. 081.
Yeah, to me, that's the impressive part.
But even if you look at his career whip, 123 for like a middle reliever type
not
of
awful.
guy, like that's solid. That's
not
all right.
awful.
So I'm not saying this is a defining move for the season,
well,
but it's a nice, solid addition to a very strong pen.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I like the move in a vacuum.
Yeah, they've added Connor Brogdon. They've added Colin Holderman. I know our fan, Justin Brewhill. I know 99.9% of fans never heard of those guys.
And that's okay.
But they're all interesting arms, so I like where the bullpen's at.
Well, here's what I don't understand.
No, they can't bat.
I think that really going back to 16 and maybe even a little before that, it's become a bullpen game. More 100%. So now than ever before.
You have to have great depth.
And if go back and watch the 2016 World Series if you've forgotten how those 2 managers, Madden and Francona, used the bullpen. And they really have revolutionized the game.
100%.
You don't see a starter go 6 innings in a playoff game anymore.
Very rare.
Unless it's the Dodgers unless he's got
once
like
in a while, but it's
if you got a one-hitter going and your pitch count's low, let it ride. But typically, as soon as there's base traffic, he's out. He's gone.
Yeah. It's really where you're at in the order. You get like 2 looks.
That's it.
Max.
That's it. You don't see these 6.
You don't face the middle of the lineup a third time.
Correct.
No. And so that I say, because of that, I'm like, well, it's really a critical part of the game when you get to the postseason. So check on that. I like our bullpen. But to me, you're addressing the strength of your team.
Yes.
What about our lineup?
I hear you. Listen,
I'm
not excusing. I'm not saying this is okay. Like, I'm not good with what they've done as a whole.
What's funny is they've tried this before the last 2 years and it didn't work.
No, I know it didn't.
So they who was it? It's like
Paul Sewald.
Thank you.
Yep. Now, Paul Sewald was coming off a bad year.
And the year prior was they had
the guy
another
from
one.
the Royals.
Yeah.
Long hair.
Scott Barlow.
Yeah, Barlow.
Again, they both were coming off bad years.
Yeah.
Shawn Armstrong, they do that because they're like, hey, we can get a guy on the cheap.
Yeah. But Sean,
that's it. Say that. That's it.
That's it.
No,
that's
it.
You got to take. But here's what you do with the bullpen, Jason. You know this. You take as
load
many
up,
cracks
yes,
as you can.
because it's so volatile. It's so volatile.
Let me make it very clear. I'm not saying this is like some world-beating move.
No, I know.
I just think it's a good, solid move.
There's a reason he was available for a 1-year deal at $5.5 million.
Yeah,
because he's 35.
Right.
Yep.
And the volatility of year to year.
He could stink this year, no doubt.
But he did he sort of tweaked his repertoire last year. He started throwing a sweeper more often, and it really sort of changed the type of pitcher that he was, particularly over the second half, which you saw in the whip, the 0.81 whip is. I didn't realize it was that low. His second half was outstanding.
Incredible.
Last year. Now, if you get that back next year, you got an unbelievable deal for $5.5 million.
In a vacuum, it's a great move.
And you're just trying to shorten the game, as you pointed out. You're trying to shorten the game to get to the bullpen as fast as possible.
If signing him means you don't sign a hitter, then I hate it.
Well,
but you shouldn't.
I think what it's doing is, though, I think it's putting too much emphasis on what you're going to serve for dessert before you figure out what your entree is gonna
here's
be.
the thing. I don't know this. I think this is obvious. But not like anyone's told me this. I'm just trying to make it.
Yeah.
They want Delauder and Valera in the lineup every day.
And they should.
And the two of them and Kafis will be on the roster opening day.
I would think so. I don't think we're doing the contract manipulation.
Under the radar, all 3 of them changed their numbers to like normal baseball numbers.
Yeah.
So that tells me
so
they're
not
probably
minor league players.
So if you have Manzardo, Kafis, I don't know how you can count on Chase DeLauder to be healthy the whole year. I think that's a mistake.
No. Yeah.
He's never been healthy his entire career.
Right.
But I'll say that if he plays 90 games, he'll probably be good in those 90
If he's healthy, he needs to be in the
What
lineup.
about Pizzana? Is he in that?
He'll be
June.
That will be a contract manipulation,
Yes.
I
Sure.
think.
I
And
think so,
and
too.
he probably does need the at bats because he missed so much time last year.
Right.
So I hate what's going on at shortstop. It's abysmal. But
you could
it is
still
what it
add a
is.
center field. Like my buddy, I mentioned this
DeLauder
yesterday.
might be the center fielder.
I mentioned this yesterday, guys, that I'm driving in yesterday and I'm listening to MLB radio, and they talked about John Kenzie Noel being designated for assignment.
Yeah.
And Mike Ferrin, who's a friend of mine, was doing the show, and he goes, and they started after the John Kenzie thing, they were talking about, okay, so who's some potential center fielders the Guardians could sign? And they're going through a list of names, and I'm like, ugh. And then Mike Ferrin goes, I know my buddy Adam the Bull, great sports talk. He's not happy right now.
Well,
and I texted him, because like the names are not, the best name they had was Harrison Bader, who's,
No.
you know.
Are you first of all, are you convinced Stephen Kwan's going to be on this team opening day?
I'm not.
I'm not either. In fact, if I had to place a bet right now, I think it's more likely that he's not than he is.
So there's still
the Dodgers have not given up on him.
There's still moves to come, I think. But as of now, as we sit here now, I think Chase DeLauder is the center fielder, which, again, you're putting more wear and tear on a guy.
In a perfect world, they would add a center fielder, play Chase DeLauder in right,
Valera.
and then you use Valera and Kafis,
Manzardo.
DH at Manzardo's got to play every day.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
So I think you want all those guys in the lineup every day. Manzardo, Kafis, Valera.
I don't have
DeLauder.
if they're gonna play them young dudes.
I need a proven player in the lineup.
If they're gonna play all the young dudes, I would be like, cool, play the young dudes and let's see if they got something. At least if you ain't gonna spend no money, at least I can see what these young dudes talking about.
You know what? Then go get a shortstop, which is not
I'm
easy
with
to do.
you.
But
I don't like any of the options at short. I mean, all of these guys before their injuries were like. Valera was a top prospect, top 2-3 prospect in the organization. He's had a ton of injuries.
DeLauder was their best
DeLauder was
prospect.
number one. He's had a
Kafis
ton of
is up
injuries.
there.
So Kafis is probably the lowest ranked of all of
Right.
them. But so there is a lot of potential with these guys. You got to see it. I would like to have seen him. I know he's on the downside. I mean, the Phillies got Adolis Garcia for $10 million. Like that's to me is a bargain. But I know like they don't want to block the path of the young guys.
I don't know. I'm not a believer in him, but
He's better.
that's fine.
If you want a veteran bat for $10 million,
I want to spend more than $10 million. They should. They got plenty of
Jason,
payroll space.
What about picking some of these kids, placing bets,
yeah.
and using some of the other ones that you're
Yes.
not as convinced are going to be major leaguers, and using them as pieces in draft for trades?
Yeah, I mean, you got to pick a horse. I just don't know how you bet on DeLauder. He's got a ton of potential.
But you know what? In Cleveland's luck, they'll trade him to St. Louis and he'll have 7 straight All-Star seasons.
Well, speaking
where
of
he's
which,
never
there's
hurt.
been rumors of the Guardians being interested in Brandon Donovan.
Yeah.
Who I like.
That would be
He's
great.
good
He'd be
player,
a great fit.
And he could play any position. So, like, you could start him at second base in the beginning of the year, and let's say Bazana's ready to go. Well, now I can move him to the outfield.
Yeah.
He can play almost any position.
And there's value in that because if you've got all these
And
kids
he's a
that you want to
good
get their
veteran
at-bats,
hitter. He probably wants to get the hell out of the Cardinals because they're rebuilding.
Jay, and I know that's kind of a bad word, but this platoon thing that we're seeing,
I hate it.
I hate it too.
Nasty
I want it to
word.
go away, and I
Well,
want it
I
to go
don't
away
mind it if
immediately.
it's in one spot, but they have it in like 4
but
spots.
it's like our playbook now.
Yeah.
It's our playbook,
It's
and
terrible.
I don't think I could be wrong. I'm just guessing. I think that's more front office,
Yes.
and analytic driven.
Yes.
2 for 1.
I just hate it.
And
These
I
kids,
think-
you've got to play every day, and this platooning and this.
Well,
I just don't love it, Bull.
If it's glaring and it's one position,
I'm okay with it
fine.
there, but it doesn't make sense if you're doing it at multiple positions.
Yeah.
You never get go back and look at. I know that the lineup was great, but when you look at the '95 and the '97 Indians, like their lineup didn't change.
Well,
Mike
they had
Hargrove-
an all-star at every position.
I know they did, but I think there's value.
But
in
Har-
it.
let
It's
'em cook.
consistency.
But Hargrove
let
was
him play.
let 'em
we
cook.
talked to Mike about that when we had him on the show. Hargrove was a big believer in starters are a starter for a reason. You play every day. if you're a
Yes,
starter.
and this whole platooning system.
It's the way the game, and a lot of it goes back to the fact that American kids don't switch hit anymore. I
I know.
wrote about that a couple
It
years
does.
ago.
It has a big
So
impact
because
on
there
it.
are no switch hitters, it leads to a higher platoon.
Yeah.